You can just exit the hangout now.
Cody does.
I actually had a great joke, and I couldn't remember what it was. It was one of those anti-jokes, and I thought, I'm going to hold on to this one, and I forgot it. I did. I thought, I was bummed.
Well, did I tell you mine?
No, is it like the supplement to mine?
No, no, no. It's actually good.
Because I don't want to... It's... Oh,
No, no,
no.
no. It was the Adobe Brick. Did I tell you that?
Uh-uh.
Oh my God, I'll have to tell you. It's a two-parter. So what you do is say you're out, on an evening with your buddies. You have a few to where it seems like you're intoxicated, and you tell the first half of the joke, which is really a setup to the second half, really. And it sounds like you mess it up, but like you just like die laughing, and like nobody else around you gets it. And then the punchline of the second half of the joke justifies the first, and for those who remember it, they're just like, "Oh my God, that was nuts." But you tell the second half like hours later,
Oh.
not just back to back.
But you could.
Oh, you could, but it wouldn't have nearly as a good effect.
Depends on how much you're...
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what state you live in. Let's just put it that way.
By the way, where would you guys buy Miracle Grow? Any idea?
I'll ask my brother.
Okay, all right.
Frank's Nursery and Crafts.
Okay.
Al's Garden. There's you can buy it from anywhere.
I know. I'm just.
Lowe's.
Oh,
Home Depot,
wait, there it is.
True Value.
Come on, Martin.
Sorry.
Martin's like sending me Google links. Like, no, literally, it's only like a mile and a half from your house. You could walk
Yeah,
there.
you could pick them at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah.
Miracle Grow.
Yeah, wink.
Wink, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Sorry. I really honestly thought you were asking that question.
I did too for a second. I'm like, what?
Probably the same place you can get those little water bulbs that you put in your plant and you go on vacation. They keep them.
I don't know about those.
I'm waiting.
Then again, I don't.
Go on vacation? Have any plans?
Yes, both. And if I did, I'd be like, well, if they're dead when I get home, I don't care.
Survival of the fittest. If you're a cactus, you survive.
Right. Okay.
You hydrangea are the weakest link.
Hey, there we go. Hey, Dor, did you happen to get Chris Finch's message about the Think Penguin coupon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got it like 2 days after he said he needed it, and I was like, I hope Dor saw that in time.
Yep, and I believe that's the last code that we got.
So do we not? Well, should we continue to mention it, or?
Not tonight now, because I forgot to email him.
Okay.
I gotta email him, see if I can get more codes.
160.
170
Yeah, 169 was his talk.
was the Blabberfest.
It was a good talk.
It was a good talk. Actually, I mentioned it on Geeksters. That's the third time I've heard it, and it's gotten better every time.
Thank you. Except for my cussing in it, yeah, it was better.
What did you say, Dor?
Well, if you listen to it, you heard me bleep it out. I said, "Zzz." That's what I said.
I was there. And
Oh
I didn't
yeah, I heard. Well, no, I heard the buzzer, and I can't remember what word, but I remember hearing that.
Klaatu is smart as. Bzzz.
Oh right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was the Family Feud buzzer.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
I don't know what other buzzer would it be?
The whammy from Press
That's
Your
not
Luck.
a buzzer. That's not a buzzer, and that goes too long. That's like 5 seconds long.
You ever listen to this is well, I guess he's still on the air, but you ever listen to Bubba the Love Sponge?
Don't. I might have not known it, but I don't think so.
He's a shock jock. And he was on Sirius when Howard got on there. Anyway, but no, they'll have like quick off-air discussions. They'll be like, please hold, and then they'll play the oh my god, the Showcase Showdown theme, but they'll do that for like 10, 15 seconds, and they come back and they're just like laughing, like okay, back to the show, and they just But every time I hear that music now, I think of them, because you'd hear a couple of them start to argue on the air, like please hold, and then da.
I like Bob Barker.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm now known as Mr. Weinstefana at my local beer place. I walk in and the owners know. That's the guy that buys all our. They order extra just to keep it on hand for me.
I don't like the fact that the place I went to stopped selling them in the larger bottles, and now they have them literally in 6-packs, small.
Yeah, I
Don't like that.
I get the Vitas. If they don't have the see, I'll get that.
Mhm.
If they don't have this, I'll get the original. But they have one now. What is it's called? Like
The dark one.
No. Well, this is a Doppelbock, but no, they have one. It starts with a K. I can't. But it's malt liquor.
I don't think I'd get that one.
No, I was about to buy a couple of them because I'm like, hey, they can't go wrong. And then I saw malt liquor on the label, and I put it right the hell back.
Exactly. Maybe they can.
Oh, they can.
Just like Rogue Brewery, Martin. And they have that Daddy's Little Helper. It's a malt liquor, and I bought that, years ago. I was like, oh, Rogue can't go wrong, and I took a swim and sip of it and poured it down the toilet.
Hey, speaking of local breweries, 10 Barrel out of Bend
Yeah.
was just bought by Anheuser-Busch today.
Oh, really?
That's just another lager on the shelf. No, I don't know.
What?
I don't know, but yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Thank you.
Well, I guess. I don't know what they're gonna. If Anheuser-Busch can use if you can use Anheuser-Busch to distribute more regionally or even nationally, then that's a bonus.
As long as they don't go, we can make this cheaper. Oh yes,
exactly.
We're
gonna cut out all the. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna make this cheaper by just
awful ingredients.
adding water.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll keep the label the same.
Right.
So anyways, sorry. They make I remember 10 Barrel makes kind of don't they make like a barley wine and stuff?
Yeah, I think I've had that once, but every time I look at them at the grocery store now, it's just IPA, super IPA, IPA variant number 1, IPA variant number 2, and me, I don't buy them. So.
And I was about ready to say and.
Right. I don't buy them. How about a really good wheat, guys? How about a porter? How about a stout? It's called variety.
Or you could just put some hair in your chest and.
Oh, hush your mouth.
Sorry. Could have gone the other way.
You could go wash your nether regions and get over it.
That's right.
No. You gotta turn the loofah over. You don't wanna grate it.
All I have is apple cider vinegar. That's all.
Oh, God. So you know that phrase of like, well, why don't I bring over some yeah. So I said that to a buddy of mine, and he goes, God, what was it? Oh, it was a text message. What was it? He goes, oh no, you got to use saline base because vinegar stings. And I said, of course you would know that, being you. Ah, jeez. Okay, are we ready, Dor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna boot up my Audacity.
Oh yeah, Audacity.
So did you lose a bet or something, Dor? Is that why you were in the Fez?
No.
I saw it in one of the OLF photos. I thought, oh, isn't that cool? He's wearing it for like a day to like, I don't know, maybe commemorate the game or something. You ever played the game, Fez?
No.
Test.
Oh, it's really good. It's one of those. It's one of those indie retro like really just like beautiful experiences. You should go check it out. I'm not. It sounds like I'm being sarcastic right now, but I'm not. But then I saw you a photo with it the next day, and I thought there's something going on there.
Johnny said she thought it was an ice bucket.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. You want to know why?
Because it looks like an ice bucket.
Yes.
But I got that on top.
Yeah, but don't correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know Fez etiquette, but
Fezikit.
Fez etiquette. Do Fezes don't they usually have like a tassel?
Not all of them.
There you have it, folks.
So
Do
you're
Fezes-
half pheasant, half-ass pheasant.
Just
Okay, all right.
it's a decision. AKA, this was the only one I could find on Amazon that would ship in time for OLF.
Martin, do you see how his cheeks are starting to match the color of the hat?
Hey, I was there. I got to touch the Fez.
Oh, you can leave that right where it lie.
It was nice and soft.
Okay, guys. Door, you can give us a countdown when you're ready.
Hit record in 3, 2, 1. Record.
Test, test, test.
Check.
Come in.
Cool. All right.
Or is the Grand Poobah of the Knights Templar?
Choose wisely.
I think
I just
Ray Stevens sang a song about that.
I must expect him to say, "Don't go alone. Take this." Like pull something out
It's
of the top of it.
dangerous to go out there.
Yeah. There you go. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Linux the Rest of Us, episode 170. This is a show about all sorts of Linux topics, news, hardware, software, whatever tickles our Linux fancy. I am Cody Cooper, aka Supercoop, and I am joined by two fellow Linux users this evening. One, our good friend Martin Rambo Obando, aka Tater. How's it going, Martin?
It's going good. Going good. Glad to be here.
Oh yes. Now Martin is present on all the shows. Normally, he's managing part of the chat, part of the note taking. So he's pulling double duty tonight. Thank you for being here, Martin.
Yeah.
And of course, our good friend, the Pheasanator, the DoorToDoorGeek, aka Steve McLaughlin. How's it going, Door?
Hey, Cody. Going pretty good. I told my manager a couple days ago. Yeah, I'm starting to feel not drunk again. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
Sobering up is it's a 5-letter word starting with B.
Yes.
Yep. Now specifically, you're sobering up after a certain excursion, which we are going to talk about during the show. I wouldn't say at length, but we're going to do just the right amount. If this were a fable, it wouldn't be too hot or too cold. It would be in the just right spectrum. We're gonna be talking. Of course, I'm talking about OLF, Ohio Linux Fest, 2014, of which I was unable to attend this year, but I am taking measures to make sure I am at 2015, and you can bet I'm gonna be there. And all I'm saying is, Columbus, get ready. But you guys had quite a fun time. We wanted to start off the show by kind of recapping some of the highlights through the eyes of Martin and Door, and so I can kind of live it secondhand, but at the same time, for those of you who haven't been out to a Linux Fest before, it is a really good time. I mean, food and alcohol aside, just being in actual company of this community of people you may have spoken to online, that you follow on social media, that you just have a shared interest. It is a fantastic time. So I do urge you to get out to your local or plan to travel to one of the bigger ones to really get a good experience. But enough of all that. So Door, Martin, start to kind of talk about maybe day one. Now you guys, as most of the hardcore Podnutsians do, you get there even a day early. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you got there Thursday, right?
Yeah, I came in. I flew in Thursday night, so I was there pretty late. I arrived about 11 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
I know Door was there earlier than me.
Yeah, not much earlier. I want to say me and Jonathan, Jonathan came down on a bus because it was a lot more affordable for him to do that than we both drove out to Columbus. I want to say we got there. Oh, the evening free drinks and food ended at 7:30, so we pulled up at like 7 25.
Mm. Did you get in time?
Just barely, yes. And
Just barely. Yeah.
we immediately went up to the bar and said, here's my ticket that just magically appeared in my hand. Give me 3 beers.
You're not going to put that away yet, are you?
Exactly.
Right. What time is it? It doesn't matter. I'm here. You're here. Let's do this.
Mhm.
And that, of course, is at our favorite hotel to stay in when we go to OLF, which is
The Drury.
Drury, spelled in my mind weird. Drury.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great place to stay.
It is. The staff is very accommodating. The lobby area downstairs is it's kind of like a lobby, kind of general like eating area. Very, very nice. But yeah, and then several of the amenities there, including the parking and the Wi-Fi, which are not provided, either free of charge or a discounted rate at some other local places there. It makes it kind of takes it over the top. You know, they really do cater to their customers, and yeah, it's turned out to be a good experience for several people. Years over.
Well, I mean, the room that I bought had 2 queen beds in it, 119 a night. That includes, wireless in the parking, which I didn't drive, but full breakfast in the morning, and then drinks and food in the evening.
Very cool.
So it's definitely. I mean, you can pay 119 at another restaurant and get none of that.
Yeah.
Or another hotel, excuse me, and get none of that. So yeah, it's definitely well worth it, and definitely it's a great place to stay.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, was that the discounted rate through the vest?
Yes, that was the discounted rate through the fest. So I do not know what their normal rate is. They were going to give me, because I did stay another night. They said that they couldn't promise me the discounted rate for the last night, but they were able to get me the last night rate. So, and then I had people stay with us, and so it worked out really well.
Very nice, very nice. So you guys started basically Thursday evening, and then Friday morning or Friday afternoon, depending on how late you guys stayed up. The fest really started.
Yeah. The Fridays they have kind of one. They have I think they had 6 talks planned, and unfortunately they chose their back-to-back talks, 3 before lunch, 3 after lunch, in one room, which created an issue because I don't think they expected as many people to be there on Friday, because the rooms were always standing room only, and if you didn't get there early enough, you didn't get a spot, and the rooms weren't very big. So I think they could make those bigger, because there was a lot of talks that I think a lot of people wanted to see, and you end up just kind of missing out. Like, well, I'm not going to stand in the hallway to listen to that talk. So.
And plus, if you're planning on attending all 3, you're just not going to get up out of your seat. I mean, you're just
right. Yeah.
Stay there for the duration. Which, yeah, the carryover from crowd to crowd, that is something that they could probably take into better consideration next year.
Right, and as the day went on, more and more people were showing up. So and that was pretty much what Friday was pertaining to, were those 6 talks. And then they just everybody kind of mingling in. You saw a lot of groups getting together, a lot of people saying hi to probably friends that they had seen last time. I know as the Podnuts community, everybody kind of started to trickle in, and we would say hi to different people, and we would meet different people, like Tony, Mary, and Matt from Sunday Morning Linux Review showed up kind of in the evening, and it was great to run into them. And you just kind of, I think Friday was the day of just everybody trickling in, trying to see some talks if they could, but really just kind of coming together as a group, and and that's what we were doing.
There you go. And yeah, I would say some of my more fond memories of the year I went 2 years ago now. Gosh, it's crazy to think it's been that long. We're talking with Mary and Matt from Sunday Morning Linux Review. That I believe is smlr.us. Is that correct, Dor?
Yes, sir.
Yes. In fact, I got a very unique Voxer message from Matt Enders, who does not like Voxer, and boy, did he tell me exactly what he thinks about it in that message.
It was requested, and I passed it on.
Very funny. Very funny. And Voxer, for those of you who don't know, it's a voice communication application available on Android and iOS. But you can do kind of like think about it as like walkie-talkies, but you can create groups, and it's been a favorite communication tool of ours. Like for instance, Martin, Dora, and I talk on Voxer pretty much every day, or at least many times a week. And this was a great communication tool for those Podnutsians to get together and talk with each other during OLF and several other conferences in the past. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it was painfully obvious the amount of people there that had Voxer, because all at once all of our phones would just start freaking out. Blip, 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 blip. So if I like went into a bathroom, I came out and they walked away, I just opened up my phone, hit bing bing, and off in the distance I would hear blip, 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 and I would just walk in that direction and I would find everybody.
You'd be basically pinging them via sonar, but using Voxer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which I thought was pretty funny. I heard you mention that on Android App Addicts.
Yeah, it is such a seamless tool to communicate to the group and say, we're going to lunch, we're coming back for lunch, we're going to the hotel, we're going to this talk. And you could very easily keep track of somebody where they were at. If they were outside, the GPS would show on the map where they were physically at, and they would just tell you.
Very cool. Okay, so Thursday night was some of my late night arrivals. Did you guys go out as a group on Thursday? Probably not you, Martin, because you got in super late. But before we sort of delve full bore into Friday, was there anything else that happened Thursday night of note?
I can't remember. I think we ordered pizza that night. Yeah, because I got in and we ordered pizza, and it was good. It was not the experience that we had at Nelf.
Oh, wow.
No. But this place was called Pizza and Brew. They would literally ship you pizza and beer.
What?
Yep. And we got, I believe it was called Heart Attack or Coronary Pizza.
Yeah, something like that. It was basically just, I don't even know if there was bread. It was just meat.
Yeah. On top of meat.
Yeah, with a meat layer.
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't hear that, that's me getting mad jealous. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Pretty tasty, and we had plenty of brews, so we basically Friday sat around, Thursday nights, ate some pizza and just sat around and BS for a while.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so just kind of getting in, relaxing, seeing who was there, getting into the rooms, enjoying some beverages, some food, and then getting in and starting Friday. Now, for the talks that you did attend Friday, were there any that were, I don't want to say memorable, but were there any that you guys actually did get to attend because of the standing room only nature that you'd like to share any details about?
I peeked my head into a couple of them, but it was so full. You had 6 to 8, sometimes 10 people standing outside the door that you just kind of peek your head in, kind of look around and go, well, I could stand here and it wasn't mic'd. And so you just had the speaker talking to 50 people, standing room only, and you couldn't hear him. So
it wasn't mic'd?
No, it wasn't amplified at all. So that would have been different, I think, if you could stand outside the hallway and listen to it if you wanted to. But because they weren't, there was no, really your options were very limited unless you wanted to kind of say, excuse me, and kind of maybe find a spot on the floor at the talker's feet or something.
Yeah, on Friday, they were only utilizing, I believe, one half of the hallway, and that side of the hallway, the rooms were much smaller, and none of that side had audio hookups.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a small room, 50 people, as long as you're actually able to project, like me with my experience, I think I would do fine because I would talk louder, and trust me, you would hear me from the back of the room. But if you're not used to public speaking, or sort of kicking it up a notch in that case, yeah, I could see how that would be a less than stellar experience.
Yeah. The only talk I went to Friday that was memorable was Mad Dog. Gave a update on Project
Kawa.
Never remember the name of that thing.
Yeah.
They're taking it a little bit of a different focus. Here's what I like about Mad Dog's Project Kawa. I'm able to see it change, it evolve to try to meet more of their local needs down there. And one of the things when I listen to him talk about that project is I try not to assume how culture, life, money, community, education is in Colombia because I don't know. So when he describes it, it literally is like opening up my eyes to how this other country does things.
Was it Colombia or Brazil?
Brazil, now that you say that out loud again.
Okay. I wasn't trying to correct you. Honest. That's the way I remembered it, however, because they were talking about Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, and I can never remember the name of the city. San Pablo, I want to say the name of the city.
Or San Paulo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big city.
But that project that Mad Dog runs, that they're correct me if I'm wrong, but they're setting up wireless mesh networking, like in big high-rise living quarters, right?
That was version 1.0. Then he
Okay.
pulled it back to version 0.1. Now he pulled it back a version earlier, where it's more of a community outreach in educating younger people in maintaining and developing entrepreneurial businesses around this kind of solution.
See, and that's where he's smart, because it's one thing to walk in to an area like that needs a development like this and just say, here you go, and then maybe charge to support it, right? But you know that every time, at least every time I've heard Mad Dog talk, and for those of you who do too, who have heard him speak, he is very passionate about this, and he's doing it really because he does care. So to hear it from that perspective, you know that. And I remember him speaking at NELF 2 years ago, where he was talking a lot about us having the local community basically being set up and trained and educated in order to maintain and grow this, which is a fantastic way of going about it.
Well, and he moved from the kind of the when we had heard him last talk about this, he moved from the platform of having servers in the basement and then bringing everything up inside of homes to now switching to Raspberry Pis.
Yes.
So that was one of his changes, and that was pretty cool to hear that. And if you go to the website Project Kawa at caua.org, Raspberry Pi is one of the partners involved in that, and so you can see that they're bringing along that technology.
That's fantastic to actually get that organization involved, because anything they can do to obviously use their fantastic product to bring technology into these areas, and especially something as as important as internet access through their devices. I mean, we you've seen over the past few years, the internet meme with like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the pyramid of stuff that you need.
Food pyramid.
What is it?
Food pyramid.
Yeah, the food pyramid. Or yeah, whatever it is, but we've seen an altered version of it toward the bottom, and the most important is it's just Wi-Fi, which I cannot imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine not having Wi-Fi at home, let alone other places I go. So yeah. That's very cool. So he spoke on Friday.
Yes, and while he was talking, I walked up and put a beer on the table in front of him, just in case he was parched.
So that's where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw photos. Because basically, Mad Dog has enough clout and swagger to basically get away with just about anything while he's up there. Yep. But the photos I saw, like he had a cracked beer just right there on the table, and I thought, that's how you need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had one, and then he was turned away, and Dor put another one, and he turned around and goes, "How'd I get two?" Like. He says, I know I haven't had that much yet. The whole Podnuts people were all drinking beers, and they all just kind of raised their glasses at him, and it was cool.
Now, this was in the convention center?
During his talk. Kaplink! Here you go!
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, see, this brings a whole new element into it. I never thought about trying to bring alcohol into the convention other than just in my body.
Neither did I. I will just say someone had a epiphany. And they unloaded a backpack, and they loaded a backpack.
Okay. Genius. Absolute Genius. Very cool. All right. So Friday evening, then post, let's say OLF festivities. OLF business time. Maybe what 5-6 p.m. It sort of winds down, and then it's basically Friday night. What was that like?
That was fun.
That was Red Dwarf, myself, Martin, Johnny, John Newstetter, Jonathan Nadeau, and then a couple other guys. I want to say Wise One, Gordon, Info Lookup, my main man from
Cool.
New York, Richard Hughes, another New Yorker, and oh man, how can I forget Chuck the Man Green?
Yep, and his son
Max.
Chuck brought his son.
Yeah.
And I want to say there might have been one or two other people that I'm not remembering right now.
I don't. Sherwin Williams?
Nope. The Info Lookup.
Oh, that's it. Okay, I thought so. Yeah.
And I gotta say this. I was talking to Richard. Richard said he was driving from New York. Info Lookup is in New York and said, Dor, I would really love to go to OLF, but I don't know how I can possibly get there. And I said, well, I might be able to hook you up. I talked to Richard. I said, Richard, there's this guy I know. He's done a couple podcasts with me. A really good guy. A family guy with a long-term job, interested in Linux and security, but he's coming from New York. He doesn't have a ride. Is it possible for you to give him a ride? And Richard absolutely didn't hesitate. Said, yeah, sure, no problem. Got it. So I got them both connected. So Richard stopped and picked up Info on the way. And the first words out of Richard's mouth was, Dor, you didn't tell me Sherwin was black. and then I'm speechless because I don't think and then before I could even react, Sherwin walked up behind Richard and said, Dor, what's wrong with you? You didn't tell me he was white. So I just couldn't help but just laugh. I will say that was my first encounter with Info Lookup, hopefully of many in the future. Even though he was that stereotypical guy with a MacBook at a Linux conference, I still hold him in high regards.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I can let that slide.
His justification sounded believable. He has a side client which all they run is Macs, so he has to, quote unquote, know his way around the systems.
Well, no, I'll tell you what. If I had to run another OS as my main OS and it wasn't Linux, I would run OS 10 before Windows every time.
I don't know.
So,
I think I'm right there with you, Cody.
Yeah. And I'm glad he got to make it because he's been a great contributor to this show. Online he's conversed with me and I'm sure Dor several times. I believe he's even sent some emails. So I was glad that he got to get out there.
I know, and I'll say this publicly. I think I said this to him. I'm not sure. I would be willing to virtually pay him to do a podcast. I don't care what it's about, just to hear his voice. He's from Ghana. Moved in the U.S. like 6 or 8 years ago. I want to say maybe 11, whatever. I am infatuated with his accent. I don't care what he's talking about. He can be talking about the best ways to break a piece of cheese, and I would listen to it because he's Info Lookup. I did proposition him a while ago, and nothing came of it. I could see myself chatting with him for a half an hour or an hour a week about whatever he would want to talk about and have that as a podcast. So something might come of that. And now that I said it publicly, he knows that I'm serious.
Yes. So find that ball, Info, and then get on it. Get on the ball, and we'll make that happen. Very cool. Okay, so to sort of lay it out on the line here before we get into Saturday and Sunday. obviously Friday night, if you guys had a lot of fun, you probably didn't just stick around in the hotel. You probably went out and enjoyed some of the Columbus.
No, that's the
No.
thing.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
did
really?
go out, but we did get visited.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
We did.
there was a hefty knock on the door. Not physically on door, but on door.
Okay.
On the door,
On the door.
and Jonathan was the closest person to the door. Jonathan is quite blind, I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan opened the door and said yes, and it was a security guard. And the security guard just stood there for like 3 seconds, didn't know what to say, and then he said, "You cannot have more than 5 people in a room." Jonathan said, "Okay." He said,
I didn't know that.
"Yeah." He said, "I didn't know that." He said, "How many people are in your room?" Jonathan literally just for like 3 or 5 seconds just sat there and said, "I have no idea. I'm blind."
Exactly.
Right.
As far as I know, the lights are off.
And the guy just sat there for another 5 seconds or so and said, "Well, you can't have more than 5 people." Jonathan said, "That's great," and closed the door in his face.
Okay.
Yeah, we were being a little loud apparently.
Oops.
Well, there was, I don't know, 8 of us or more in the room, so you'll have that. I will admit. Which is why I like when our rooms are literally sandwiched by other conference scores rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and this is a perfect time to bring up too, when you're thinking about going to these events, and I will say OLF specifically, also on Northeast Linux Fest in my experience, and possibly others too, especially if you're a part of this community. The one kind of factor that might shut a lot of people down from going out to these events is, oh, but the cost involved, not only travel, but I'm going to pay room and board and food. And honestly, if you find people to stay with, because I mean, Martin was saying 119 a night, but if you're splitting up between 4 or 5 people, it's fairly cheap, especially if you save up in advance for it. So consider that. Like me, and Dora knows this too. In years past, I've actually socked away money every paycheck, sort of manually, in order to save up for these things. Due to unfortunate circumstances, that wasn't able to happen this year or last year. But what I've actually done is set up a direct deposit now that peels it off my paycheck before it even hits my bank account, to where I have enough money to go to at least 2 or 3 fests a year, and possibly after the fact also buy a new phone every year. So.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I can't speak about other conferences, but I know Columbus, Ohio, the Drury, the rooms are affordable. I'm not going to say they're
Yes.
greatly priced, but they're affordable. But you also get like 1.5 meals. You get a hot breakfast with drinks, and then you get like a afternoon before dinner snack, and it's a buffet style. So quite literally, you can conserve your eating times to those 2 times a day and literally have 2 of your meals for the day done.
Yep. And that's all wrapped up into the cost of the room.
Yes,
And the
you
parking.
you get free parking. As long as there's physical room in the parking lot, you get free parking.
I found that we only went out as a group one night. Really, we kind of really took advantage of it was there, of the free food, and that's really what we ate. We ordered pizza a couple nights. And that was more kind of the first night when I got there, I was hungry. I was, we traveled all day, and that was food, that was dinner. And then we kind of did our meal thing downstairs on Friday night, and then we were in the room, and I think we ordered pizza, didn't we? Because we got wings and pizza, and that was kind of what we just stacked on, and so I think food-wise, everybody going out, it was good.
Yeah, and we went to the new market for lunch. Friday and Saturday, more as a conversation piece, more as just a place to hang out rather than actually sit down. I was eating because I was in a place surrounded by what I thought was pretty dang good food. It wasn't like I was eating because I was starved, kind of thing. So you literally could just go to the market, get a drink, sit down, talk to people, and then 2 or 3 hours later, whatever, go back to the hotel and get the afternoon snack.
Yeah. So to recap on the new market, let me give my perception of it the year I went. Imagine, almost like, I don't want to say fair food, but imagine like mid to high range food trucks right? The food that they would have. But imagine that in like a convention style, almost like Saturday market type of setting,
Exactly.
in a large like warehouse type area where you walk around. It's more like a fair, but every single place you walk by, you're smelling it. They're giving out samples. You're just like, oh my god, I want to get there. I want to get this from that place and over here, and there's that stuff. And then you go up to the second level, and then they have all the seating to just sit down and chill out.
Mhm.
And it's a fantastic place to go and just get some really, and also a lot of those places pride themselves on using local ingredients as well, to make that food even more sort of desirable. So, but here's one thing though: the year I went though, they didn't serve alcohol on premises. They had alcohol for sale, like they had a beer place, but now they have kind of like a bar or a bistro there. Is my understanding? Is that correct, guys?
Yeah, the one time I went by it, it looked pretty tiny. I don't think we'd ever. I don't remember buying a drink there and taking it outside or sitting around having a meal there with the beer from that place. I think you guys purchased beer and brought it back.
Yeah. If you remember, Cody, we would go in the main doors, bust a left. Right past the first place was the barbecue place, and then there was the liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
The barbecue place is now pushed across to the other side of the market, and that room is now taken up by that liquor store as well. They had, I want to say, 8 beers on tap or so. None of them caught my eye. So we basically just perused the place to buy beer to bring back to the room. And here's the thing. I actually love going shopping for beer with Jonathan Nadeau, because I'm caught in that rut of beer. I know what I like, so I keep buying what I like. When I'm with Jonathan, I'm forced to literally mention every type and every brand of beer, and I feel his reaction to them. Oh, you got that? Oh, what? You got that? I heard about that. Good. So, it was fun, I'll say.
I had the same experience with him at Northeast Linux Fest last year because we walked down to that place, the container store. Yeah, Supreme Liquors. And he would be like, okay, well, what kind of wheats do they have? He would go by category, and I would have to explain them, which means, of course, kind of like what you mentioned, I would actually have to read them and consider them.
Right.
So, yeah, he is a fantastic drinking buddy on a number of levels, but as far as experiencing or new brews, yeah, definitely one to have around.
Well, he is a amazing bucket of knowledge. I'll say that. On almost any topic, he can literally donate something to a conversation. The drive-in, me and him had some really good talks. I mean, it was a 7-hour trip. Virtually the whole way we talked on the coming up. We talked about a whole bunch of all kinds of range of topics from, Linux software applications, Linux distros, finer points of his distribution, what kind of talks you would like to see, who's going to be here, and then when we got into the beer place, it was like I'm getting to know something else about this guy.
Yes.
Yeah,
for those of you who don't know, Jonathan Nadeau. We actually have mentioned him every show for the past 70 shows or so since I've been on. Yes, as we should. But and we'll mention him again at the end of the show. But yeah, he's a fantastic staple of these events, and he's just a dear. I'll say that he's quite the staple in all these, and he lends a lot to just about every conversation, much like what Dor alluded to, because of his level of knowledge on quite a few different topics.
All right, so we went there on Friday and Saturday for lunch, and honestly, half the reason I go there is because you mentioned locally stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of I'm not there for a long period of time. Let me at least support some of the local community while I'm there. Not go to big fast food chains. Not go to nationwide this. Go to local places and spend my money.
Yeah, imagine like the food court at the mall, but it's 4 or 5 times as big. But every place you've never heard of, you literally need to go and make a decision and look at their menu, look at what they're serving, smell it, get samples. Yeah, when I was there, the barbecue place, which was amazing, but there was also that I believe it was Polish, the place where they had the pierogies that Tracy Holtz just went nuts for. Yeah, man, my mouth is watering just thinking about
Well,
it.
but Martin both years hit up that Indian place,
Yeah.
and I forgot about it. And then when he sat down and opened up his food, I was like, oh, I should have tried something different.
Oh wow.
Just
Yeah.
looking.
They got a great Indian food restaurant there.
Hmm.
You walk in the door and it's straight ahead. And I'm like, everybody's looking around. I'm like, see ya.
You go right there.
Go right there.
Yeah, and I'll say the best thing I think about the atmosphere, the surroundings of the convention center, is how close, how physically close everything really is. From the hotel to the conference is a touch of a walk, and from the conference to go get something to eat or drink or to just look at some local things, everything's within like 2 blocks.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to travel far. And I will say, I didn't realize this until Monday after I came back. I never once made the walk for the late night sausage sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
You must
I
have been
don't know.
preoccupied.
If that's the way you want to put it, yeah, sure.
Did you miss it though?
On Monday I thought, I could have had a sausage sandwich.
Well, see, and here's the thing, though. When
You had a meat pizza,
Yeah, that did kind of make up for it.
and you didn't have to go anywhere.
and see, Dor, when you were talking about these sausage sandwiches previously, I thought that like this was some gourmet, handmade, just like you need to experience this before you die type of thing. And then I saw it, and it's literally like a for lack of a better term, like a broke ass egg McMuffin
Mhm.
in a plastic wrapper.
Mhm.
That you'd probably see at like a Circle K or a 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yes. But
It's a delicacy in Dor's mind.
but it's at 2 a.m, and I can go get one, and I can heat it up in there, or I can keep it cold. So I buy 2 of them or 3 of them, put them in the bag, keep the hot one out, and on my way walking back, I eat the hot one. And then when I get back, first thing in the morning, before I go downstairs, I can have a sandwich.
Touche.
Yeah, there's nothing special about it. I mean, the biscuits are dry. The sausage isn't overly spicy. Sausage.
It's just there.
Yeah, it's just there. It's better than nothing. And that's the truth. I will say one thing that shocked me. I did not realize this till I think Sunday or Monday. This is the most talks I've ever went to at any conference I've ever been to. I don't. Well, I guess I know why. Brian Wagner, from install.net, forgot a recorder. I forgot my lapel mic. So I borrowed his lapel mic to record my talk, and then I let him and his co-host from Linux Install, Greg Martin, borrow my Zoom H1 to do their talks. And I thought, I cannot walk in their talk, give them my Zoom H1 and say, okay, bye, I'll be back in an hour. So I sat in and I listened to their talks, and I will say, every talk I did sit in, I learned something pretty considerable. I'll say that. Things I didn't even think I needed to know, kind of thing. DevOps. If you don't know DevOps, you're not going to be in enterprise IT in the next couple of years, because it is going to take over, I'm pretty sure. And then the Android development, there are tools that he mentioned nonchalantly, as a matter of factly, that I've never even heard of. So I definitely picked up good stuff in both of those talks.
Well, and I had the completely opposite, unfortunately, and I did have to work, and so that was some of the stuff. But I would go to a talk, and I went on one on, like Bash script tricks, and I thought this would be fun. We'll learn some stuff, and the gentleman teaching just had his own tricks, flash them up on the screen. He was using a Raspberry Pi, flashed them up on the screen, said this is what it does, this is how I use it. Okay, next one. And about 18 minutes into the talk, I had a call. I had to go step outside. So I stepped outside. And literally 2 minutes later, the room was emptying. And Mary T walked out, and I said, hey, Mary, what's going on? And she says, that's it. Talk's over. So he wasn't teaching anybody as much as just showing you his scripts, and I didn't miss anything.
Oh, okay.
And
just like, here's my tool belt.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll say, love them or hate them, whatever. The guy who should have been giving a class on Bash stuff, from what I know, should have been Matt Enders. I'll say about him, think about him, whatever you want, but I know when it comes to the CLI command line interface and Bash, he has a lot of experience. There were more than a couple of talks that I saw did the same thing. They were booked for an hour or 55 minutes or so, and in 20 to 30 minutes the talks ended. And
wow.
And that literally shocked me. I quite literally was rushing to finish my talk when I noticed it was like 52 minutes in, and then I realized as soon as I finished, oh, well, next is lunch. So why did I rush?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was a couple talks. I went to one, a password one, which is kind of cool. Basically, it just kind of rehashed, about passwords and what you should do about keeping them. And they talked about LastPass and stuff, and that was really fun and entertaining. But you could tell a lot of the talks that everybody wanted to go to were the talks that used up the full hour. They were standing room only, and you ended up just kind of having to sit outside. There was one talk that I wanted to go to, and I sat in the wrong room. I sat down and I was there with Sherwin and George. No, not George. Gordon. And before we move on, but Gordon is he's actually from Scappoose, which is up by us, Cody.
Oh, neat. Okay,
he's from Scappoose, and now he lives in Vegas and works on slot machines. And so he flew out, and a very, very nice guy to meet and talk to as well. So we all sat in this room, and the lady jumps up and starts talking about Puppet. And I'm like, wait, so 5 of us, and up to the next room, and by that time it was full, and it was like, well, there's nothing we could do about that one. So we sat, it's that awkward feeling, you're sitting down ready to go take notes, and I'm in the wrong lecture hall.
That's not so good.
Yeah, I'll say one upgrade done to the convention center in general was a lot of the rooms outside of them literally had LCD screens built into the wall showing what the talk schedule was. It was a rotation of images that you literally, no matter what time you walked up to it, you literally had to stand there for 15 seconds before you realized what was going on. It would have been much better if it was just a static image showing all the talks with the talk getting ready to come being highlighted or bigger in size. So, best of intentions, the execution of that wasn't fantastic, I'll say.
Well, and speaking of that, this is kind of a perfect time to bring this up, in the fact that the management and a lot of the folks involved behind the scenes had gone through a major shift from last year into this year. At least that's my understanding. So, from an overall perspective, Martin, I know this is your second OLF door. This is your third or fourth, right?
Uh-huh.
So, what were some highlights as far as, like, you saw? Like, obviously you kind of mentioned an area of improvement right there, but what are some other differences that you saw this year versus some last years that you either thought were positive or some room for improvement?
Well, I think anytime you do a major shakeup of the core group of people, you almost have to start over, almost like it's a brand new fest. I mean, you have the name, you've got the place, you have some core people, but really you're almost starting from scratch, and so you could tell that that it was still a little shaky because they're new again. But I think the foundation they're laying, they had great badges this year. They were like big plasticky ones like they had some years ago. I think they could have put the schedule on the back of the badges. I think that would have helped. They did the LCD screens; those are new now. Whether I know that probably OLF didn't have anything to do with putting the screens in. That's definitely the convention center themselves doing it. But that was an improvement. I see that while they may have dipped down a little bit, I think that they're going to get better.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was going to say. This, I think, was a year of rebuilding. But there was definitely a little bit more organization, I noticed. Their handout of the schedule was pretty professional, I will say that. It was well done, well laid out, a good multi-page color pamphlet. You could, easily scan through and find stuff. The foundation of the organization is the same. A lot of the other parts of the organization is new. Turnout-wise, I think this was lower than the previous year and the year before that and the year before that. But I seriously think this is what we saw, Martin, was the first year of a turning point where I think they're going to try to go more professional. I think there was also less vendors there as well. But the interactions I saw with the people and had with the people were better all around. At one point in time, Sigflup. Sigflup was another talk that I went to see that I had to go see. Sigflup has done a couple HBR episodes. I'll just say she is one of the most raw, honest people on the podcast that she does, and unbelievably intelligent. She's the kind of person where she can't communicate with me because she can't stoop down that low, is the best way I can put it. She's just too smart. So her talk was on how to make a programming language and how a compiler works. So I had no idea what she was talking about, but I wanted to sit in her talk to show her support. She had, I want to say, a Raspberry Pi she wanted to use, and something went wrong, so she had to use the Ohio Linux loaner laptop. The loaner laptop was locked. So I literally, my fat self, went running down the stairs because it was faster than the escalator, went to the guy and I said, Sigflup upstairs, room 2, whatever, she needs a password for the laptop. And he told me it. I went back up the stairs because, again, it was faster than going up the escalator, and I told her the password. She then logged in. Like 20 minutes into her talk, that guy came into the talk, walked up to me, leaned over, and thanked me for coming out to get him for that password. That was like a little stupid thing that a lot of people are going to think is stupid or pointless. That showed genuine appreciation and wanting to interact with people that helped out. I like that a lot.
That's cool. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but overall, this year, obviously, the changing of the guard was evident. Overall, it was very positive. You could tell there were some growing pains, but the fact that they were appreciative of certain things and maybe taking mental notes, you're expecting next year to be even better.
Yeah.
And I'll say, to be honest, one of the selfish things that I liked was Kevin O'Brien was not affiliated with OLF, so I actually had a chance a couple times to literally just sit down and chat with him.
But tell me this, was he wearing his kilt?
You betcha.
Okay, good. All right. If it wasn't, then it was some sort of body snatcher imposter.
And he genuinely, kind-heartedly insulted me for not wearing one myself.
As he should have.
As he should have.
But Door, I mean, speaking of particular items of clothing to be adorned at a fest, you changed up your sort of wardrobe repertoire this year, where you didn't have your traditional Podnuts hat on, but you adorned a particular piece of headwear.
Well, my wife is a fan of Doctor Who, and I remember an episode from like a year ago where he put on a fez, and when someone asked him in the episode, why are you wearing a fez? And he just turned and said, because fezzes are cool. Part of me thought, wouldn't it be easy if someone would say to someone else, where's Door? And they just turn and point and say, see the fez? I mean, you can't miss it. Unless there's two guys there wearing a fez, which I was gambling that there wasn't going to be. There wasn't. So it was very easy to identify me from a distance because I look like a lot of the other people at the Linux Fest, I'll say that. I'm shorter, I'm dumply, and I had a beard. So it was really just to stand out from the crowd, make it easier to identify. Now, the couple things I want to throw in here was, one, I gave away swag at my talk. I gave away T-shirts, mugs, a pogo plug, books, stickers, door hangers. I mean, at least 2 or 3 more things. I'm happy to say I gave away more swag than any single entity at OLF. More different types of swag and more, I want to say, venture to say, more swag than most of the tables. So that made me feel genuinely good. And I got to thank Joe in Florida who hooked me up with the mugs. The mugs were a hit. Super hit. Yes, Cody, I have an extra mug. I can ship out to you.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, Martin, I have an extra mug. I can ship out to you. I didn't expect you to carry one back in your luggage, Martin, so I got one here. So I can't thank him enough. The two things I'm going to add is, one, I found it hysterical, at least at one point in time, when this other podcasting crew showed up, took a picture of their crew, and said, they're going somewhere, whatever. And in the background of the picture was more Podnutsians than total people in their quote-unquote crew. So that made me feel good. There was no doubt in anyone's mind who was there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Podnutsians, and the fact that they then go on their podcasting network and don't mention it whatsoever makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing, because I don't want them to mention me. I'll just say that. And I gotta say, I literally had fun doing my talk. I could not have emphasized enough. You guys listened to it last week, kind of thing, on the podcast. That Klaatu book on how to use Q Tractor extremely educated me on how to do a lot of audio manipulation, how to use the audio editor. That without that book, the level of quality of podcast you would hear on the Podnuts network that I produce would not be as high. Period. Just wouldn't be as high.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, and we've you and I both spoke to him on a show, which never came to fruition. But yeah, very, very smart guy, and I met him at a NELF a couple years ago. But yeah, the wealth of knowledge when it comes to sort of media manipulation in Linux is very high of his.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know that was a resource, and I can't wait to sort of thumb through that myself.
Well, and the last thing I'm going to say that was a very critical failing on my part. Before I got there, I semi-kidded with Sherwin that I was going to put him to work. And I didn't at all. He showed up. I gave him a pound, gave him a hug, sat with him, talked with him, BS with him. What I literally should do is whenever I get to a fest, just randomly because I had a legitimate digital camera, hand it to one of the people and say, fill up the SD card. Just take pictures. I don't care. Take pictures of anything and everything. Just take pictures. Okay. Yes, I'm on this podcast. Yes, I'm not stuttering when I'm on this podcast. Yes, I gave a talk at OLF. Yes, I didn't stutter on that talk at OLF. I am a very introverted fella. And when I hold up a camera with other people around, I literally feel like I'm invading other people's privacy, so I'm almost scared to take pictures of people. I think Sherwin or somebody else would have just been like, click, 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 click. So we should have had more pictures come from OLF, and I will take full responsibility on there not being more pictures.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20, but yeah, that's something that you want to commit to for next year. Then it should be easy to implement.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just put a GoPro on you.
Or just give the camera to Jonathan.
There we go.
Well, I did wear a GoPro for a couple hours at NELF, and man, if that footage ever made it out to the world, the thing is that I was
You're putting it in people's faces.
Well, no, I was wearing it attached to my head, but the thing is, I was under the influence of some particular great brews, and I forgot to charge things, so it was only like running for like 3 minutes. But man, oh yeah, so I'm gonna commit to at a fest nearby at least for an hour, so just wearing a GoPro around my head because that'll make for some great content.
Right. Well, then the other thing I wanted to mention, I did not want to forget. Saturday night, we actually did go out to eat. We went to Barley's, aka ye old staple of OLF, as far as I'm concerned. And this happened to coincide with some kind of week-long Halloween party, I'm going to say. The street right outside the convention center and between Barley's was literally blocked off, and there were hundreds of people there. They had a makeshift, a real stage set up with people on it singing and performing, and I don't know, it could have been someone famous I still would have known. But we went into Barley's, and there was a strawberry shortcake that
Well,
I could not look directly at, who was the waitress at our table.
and what he means by that is it was Halloween, and so
Oh.
everybody was dressed up.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
that makes sense. There's a reference to strawberry shortcake on the latest episode of Android App Addicts. And
Yes.
I thought that was real cake, but now I'm getting
Yeah.
more of a mental image.
Yeah, and I'll say this: she was uncommonly nice. She literally complimented us on she loves it when our kind of crowd comes out because we're so nice and polite and don't cause any trouble. To which I was just like, hallelujah. And then
Wow.
a guy asked her, can I get 2 Russian stouts, or can I get 2 Russians with blue eyes? So I just immediately had to apologize for any possible sexual
Oh,
sexist
jeez.
comments, to which she said,
Right.
I couldn't even hear what he said. I said, good.
She took it very well and just walked off.
But yes, and I will say I did not enjoy the Russian Imperial Stout because I am not a Russian Imperial Stout kind of guy. A lot of people at the table did. I will say I genuinely enjoyed their barley wine.
Yeah, well, in fact, I'm drinking a Imperial Stout right now, from Boulevard, that Missouri place that brewery in Missouri that we drank, the Boulevard Imperial Stout at Nelf. Yeah, so I tend to like darker beer, but yeah, barley wine is also fantastic, which we've sampled in our misadventures all over the country, and yeah, I'm getting into that genre too. But we're still talking about Saturday. One last question I want to ask about. Well, 2 last questions I had to say. The first one being, you guys did mention the fact that there was I don't want to say a lack of, but there was definitely a less amount of vendors there. So how was the swag selection early Saturday morning?
It was good. Picked up a couple things. Linode was giving out a oh, I don't have it with me.
Was that
Hold
the that was the multi-connector, USB connector. It literally has like 6 cables hanging off of it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so it has so yeah, it's one kind of connector like you'd snap on. It has USB, 2 micro USB, iPhone 4, the iPhone 5, and then whatever this one's called.
That's
Mini USB.
Mini USB. And everybody kind of thought, okay, this is great. What's it going to do? You plug the USB into power, and we were charging 2 phones right from it. So this actually, you can plug it in and do that. That's kind of cool. That was cool. So Linode was giving out a couple of those. So I picked up 1, and then went back and picked up 2 more, and then may have gone back and picked up another.
Now, obviously, you guys followed my instructions and grabbed extra swag for me because it wasn't there, right?
No, not at all.
No. I did not pick up any swag. I cannot remember, but I believe I literally went back and took a nap.
Well, and the thing is the swag. You mentioned that the vendors were smaller. It was about half of what it was. So there was maybe 15 booths, and some of the booths had good stuff, and other ones didn't. So really, continuously to go back to get more. The only reason I was able to get more from Linode is because there was nobody at the table, and they just kind of had them in a pile. But to kind of walk back and grab more, they'd be like, "Wait a minute, I'd recognize you."
No. You see, what you need to do is you need to have a jacket on hand. You go up with the jacket without. You get a hat on. You get a pair of glasses. Well, I shouldn't say half the time, but I would say a decent portion of the time, especially for those shouldn't say non-attended, but the tables that aren't too busy, those guys are just tapping away at their keyboards or playing with their little
candy.
Their geek gadgets. They were just handing out candy.
It was Halloween, yes. And I'll say my intention was with my swag, I believe was the intention of most of the vendors there, which was I don't want to go home with nothing.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I will say one of the quote-unquote swag items that I know more than a couple people really liked was they had genuine Starbucks coffee available in the vendor area that you could just walk up and get.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
If it's like coffee, yeah.
Yeah. HP was giving away wallets.
Oh yeah, the RFID protected.
Yeah, RFID protected wallets. And actually, when I went to the Bay Area this last weekend, I thought I'm not going to. There's no reason for me to carry my whole wallet, so I put credit card, photo ID, insurance card, some other little things on it, and this is all I carried through the whole on my trip down to the Bay Area. So that was kind of cool. So I picked up one of those as well. But then they were giving away shirts, and they were giving away. But the shirts were. If any vendors listening to this, stop bringing small shirts to Linux Fests. Honestly, you will go home with those, or not. You may need to toss them, but don't bring small. Maybe bring a handful of medium, but start from large.
No, Martin, I would argue that you definitely should bring small shirts because every once in a while you do spill something.
Well, yeah,
and you need to wipe it up pretty quick.
So it was good though. Definitely a small vendor performance. Or there wasn't, Linode was there, HP was there, a couple other big name ones, but not, you're not talking your Red Hats or. They were sponsors, but they didn't have a vendor presence.
Right. Yeah. No Google, no IBM, no. There's a couple that were clearly missing, and what I'm going to guess is quite literally because of the disruption in the amount of people leaving the staff, it was hard to really coordinate everything and get everyone back in. I'm going to literally assume easily next year we're going to be back up to the level of sponsors that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So we already spoke a bit about Saturday night. I'm trying to kind of take it chronologically. So Saturday night, any other? I mean, like maybe. Well, how about any Saturday talks that we haven't already talked about?
Sig Flup, Brian Wagner, Gregory Martin were three of them I went to. I know I went to one more, but I cannot remember what it was. Oh, I purposely missed the Richard Hughes talk on Cold Fusion because that was when I needed a nap. Because I remember Kevin O'Brien come running out of his talk right before it started and said, "Dor, where are you going? We have to heckle him." I said, "No, I'm taking a nap. I'm too tired."
That would be the one reason I would make sure to attend his talk, just because he is very fun to kind of rib and but yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to stay awake during that Cold Fusion talk. But if I had to bet money at someone who could keep me awake, it would probably be him.
Yeah.
During Cold Fusion, they talk about Cold Fusion. Cool. Okay. So Saturday night was kind of the main get together evening then.
Well, yeah, Friday night as well. Saturday we went out to eat. I think everybody was kind of tired from the day, so we kind of came back to the hotel room and hung around. I think Sherwin and some other people had gone out to Micro Center, so they were talking about, he was working on. Well, apparently the Micro Center there is pretty tiny. It's not the Fry's that we have. So they had come back with some, some wireless devices, and they were playing with those. And this person was talking about what they're going to do for, working on this project. So it was it was almost turned out to kind of be a BOF type thing. It really wasn't. It wasn't getting together, drinking, and stuff like that. It was really like, these are some projects. How can we do this? How can we do that? Which was fun. It was just all of us sitting around talking about different projects and ideas getting spun up, and it was a lot of fun.
The ever famous hallway track.
Yeah.
Very cool. And yeah, for those of you who have never been to Micro Center, first of all, just go there. The one there in I don't know if it's actually in Columbus, but the one nearby the convention center there. You walk in, it's probably the size of like an Office Max or a Staples.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fry's Electronics, and I have a rant about those people. I'm not going to get into on here because trust me, we don't have the time. These guys know what I'm talking about. But just kind of a geek wonderland, all sorts of stuff. I mean, not just I could buy this hard drive and I can do that. I mean, you're talking circuit level board stuff, just everything and anything. Fantastic place. Could not recommend Micro Center enough. Fry's not so much nowadays, but like I said, that's another podcast maybe coming up soon. Who knows? Okay, so Saturday night that kind of rounded it out. Now Sunday that was did they have any actual OLF festivities planned for Sunday?
They always do. That's their diversity workshop day, aka I just basically woke up, ate, and then started to prepare to go home because Jonathan had to be in Baltimore by 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. at night, so we had to leave before 1. But of course, we got here, and then the bus was delayed about an hour. Oh,
Of
no,
course.
I forgot to tell you. Jonathan got on a bus in Boston to come down here. Should have been one bus. Turned out to be 3 buses, and the last bus broke down in Delaware. So I had to go pick him up from Delaware.
Wow.
Going home, the bus was delayed by almost an hour, but he had a clean shot up. He said no problems, no issues. So Megabus is affordable, not the best when it comes to time showing up, but in my experience, well worth the money because it was so cheap. It was so affordable compared to, I mean, just in tolls alone, for me to drive up there, it's probably like $40. That doesn't count the gas. So it's definitely worth the money kind of thing.
Okay. Cool. So Sunday was just more of a kind of a saying goodbye, getting out of there before the afternoon, and then kind of on your way back home.
Yeah. Everybody kind of just parted and was going their own way, and yeah. So Gordon, I mean, after everybody left, there was Gordon. Gordon had his own room. He was staying in another hotel. Jonathan Neustetter took off. He headed back home. Dora and Jonathan headed off. Sherwin and Richard, they had a big drive, so they headed back off. Johnny had a flight out that morning, something like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something like that. So she had to go. She was one of the first people to leave, and then everybody kind of just trickled off. So it was going to cost $200 for me to bump my flight up, so I stayed another night. And then I left. I had to be at the airport at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I took a cab from the airport to from the jury to the airport, and off I went.
Can I ask how much was that cab?
With 18 something, it was definitely less than 20.
Hey, bad.
You throw in a tip, looking at about $22. So yeah, it wasn't bad, and I was actually up. I couldn't sleep. I got up at actually I didn't get that much sleep at all. Walked downstairs. Their cab was already called for somebody else. The lady said just take it from the front counter. So I took that cab to the airport. They called another cab for somebody else.
Well, yeah, and I'll say my experience going to All Fest, I sleep fine, very fine. I mean, like a rock fine. For some reason, this entire OLF, I don't think anybody slept good.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the air or something, but it was just I woke up so cold on the cot, just cold, shivering cold, and I'm not a shivering cold type of person.
Don't ask why Martin should have been the last person in the cot. I'll just say that. I literally tried to fall asleep on the floor to give more people bedroom. Nope. Like 3 or 4 in the morning, I woke up, felt like I was a ice block.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was weird. Yeah, a lot of people woke up very cold.
Well, yeah, but all day and all evening, I'm walking around in a t-shirt and shorts, and I feel fine.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we should pre-ship some thermal comforters to the room,
or just
next year.
Ask for the room to be put to 80 degrees or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's that too. You can hotbox it.
And the same girl that worked the midnight shift the last couple of years again worked the midnight shift.
She was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Nice. Did Bill buy her flowers again?
I don't know.
Yep.
He did.
He did. Ah. Okay. Oh, fantastic. That's pretty funny. Okay, cool. So Martin, let me get your kind of opinion, kind of closing remark, recap type of deal. Let me know, or I should say, rather kind of speak out to the community, because this is your second OLF, and maybe because you've been to maybe 5 or 6 different actual festivals throughout the year, but give us your sort of final thoughts surrounding this year's Ohio Linux Fest. And
I had a good time. It was, it was really, really fun to go. I did go. I probably didn't see as many talks as I wanted to see. Work sometimes gets in the way, but just going and meeting new people that I hadn't met before, Johnny, Sherwin, Gordon, but then meeting people, or Max, but then meeting people that are old friends, Chuck and Red, and getting to see Dora again, and I just had a great time. People were missed. I really was trying to get some of the Geeksters guys to come over, but that didn't happen. But as far as the fest goes, I see that we touched on it earlier. I see it's going to be better. I next year I would bet that it's actually going to be better than we've seen it, or that I've seen it in the past, and it's on my list. I'll be there again next year.
Definitely. So, Door, to also kind of recap, give us any final thoughts on what you thought about this year versus last year, and your sort of thoughts and looking forward to also give kind of a general message to people who maybe are thinking about going to the fest.
Okay. Sorry, I had a quick drop.
That's okay.
The only way I can put it is, it was not the same because there was no Cody Cooper. Without sounding stupid, you were definitely missed. Period.
Yeah.
I had lots of fun. Don't get me wrong, the fest was okay. The fest was good, but the people were unbelievably better. We could all meet up for a yarn festival, okay? It would be a good time with all the guys that came out, with all the guys that we got to sit down and chat with, for all the guys I got to shake hands, for all the guys I got to sit down and just be BS with. Unbelievably good times is all I got to say.
Very, very good. So, hopefully, for those of you who are wondering what these kind of festivities are all about, you got some good information, and it's giving you that much more of an incentive to go. I can say that this year, the festival circuit is pretty much wrapped up. I'm going to personally, I'm guaranteeing I'm being Olaf 2015. That's not going to not happen. But of course, we got Northeast Linux Fest around the corner, Northwest Linux Fest, Scale possibly, and then there are several others throughout the country. So just search for Linux Fest and then your state in Google, and see, or even your region of the country, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, whatever, and try to make it out. But more importantly, know, much like what we said here, that the majority of the fun and the really value in it, yes, the talks are great. Yes, the being in that local area or just traveling is fun. But really, it is the people that make the difference. And if you can communicate with people that you know online that are going to be there anyway, and let them know that you're going to be there, getting together with your community during these things, that's something that you can't do in person every day, let alone every week or every month. These are reserved for special times a year, and I would really urge you to go out and do that, because it is one of the highlights of going to these events.
Absolutely. And I'll say, if you've never been to a fest before and you're going to go to anyone, doesn't matter, Texas Linux Fest, Northwest, Northeast, Self, Scale, OLF, whatever, I would literally say contact a podcast, go into a forum, drop into Cast Plancy, and just try to find people and say, who's going to this fest? And just so you can say, okay, well, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there, here's my phone number. Just so you can pre-plan on connecting with somebody. Because to be quite honest, there are plenty of people I see that go to a fest by themselves. I cannot see how it's not a lot better when there's someone else, either you just met or someone that you've heard of online, that you can literally sit there with and talk about the talk that you just heard. Talk about what we're going to do in the next hour. To just be with like-minded people, dare I say, it just makes it so much better.
Very well said. Okay, guys. Well, it's about that time. Martin, where can we find you online?
Well, you can get me at martin@obandocomputing.com. You can. I'm Google Plus at mobando, and on Tuesday afternoons, if you're so 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, podnuts.com/live. We do a little show called Geeksters. Tim Heyman, Tim Bauermeister, Mitch Heyman. We all get together and just talk about things geeky and have a really good time.
Yeah, it's kind of a computer repair roundtable talk, and yeah, it's a fantastic show. And I gotta tell you, those guys, I'm jealous whenever I listen to it because it just sounds like you're having way too good of a time.
We do digress a lot. We come with some topics.
Yes. One episode, Martin kept referring to everybody as another host and as another co-host's first name Fred, and that made for probably one of the most just gut-wrenching, hilarious moments of any podcast I've ever heard before, and I've rewound and listened to that at least 100 times.
We definitely have fun with that show.
But aside from the fun, also very informative, and they do get to the nitty gritty and relay a lot of good information. So it's not just a comedy show, but it's definitely one of those shows you sit down and you feel like you're sitting there with the guys and having a good time, but at the same time you're learning a lot of good stuff. And these are guys in the field, Tim and Martin more so than I would say Mitch and Fred, but out there every day, dealing with all the latest and greatest, and that is really the value of that show, because you can read on blogs and read alerts on new security things or new technologies, but these are items that are being implemented by these technicians live in the field every day, and I trust their perspective more than I do just some journalist.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. All right, and Dor, where can we find you online?
The easiest place is to just go to podnuts.com. I'm on the Google Plus. Semi-frequently, I revisit places like Twitter, but basically just podnuts.com. We're on Google Plus, DoorToDoorGeek, all one word. Mail it, podnuts.com, yada yada yada.
Very cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for the OLF recap. It's energized me even more into making sure that I want to go next year, which is definitely happening. I am Cody Cooper. If you want to contact me, you can search for me on Google Plus, Cody Cooper, or at Cody Cooper on Twitter. I'm much more active on social media lately, so please drop me a line, follow me in your circles, do whatever you'd like. We can start to have some conversations, and you can get to know me a little better, and I can get to know you a little better. As always, thank you, everyone, for supporting the network by using our Amazon affiliate link, which is of course, podnuts.com/Amazon. If you use that link whenever you're making any purchases on Amazon.com, it does help the network because we have a little bit of a commission. You don't see anything different. You just make your purchases as normal, and that does go to help us sort of move into the future with some of the costs that we have, and we've also used some of those funds to purchase prizes to give away on other shows, such as Android App Addicts, which is one of our more popular shows on the network. So if you want to take a look at our full show lineup, please head over to podnuts.com, because we do have some. And speaking of the show lineup, for those of you who are aware of a little show that we do called My Hard Drive Died. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dor, but there are 2 new episodes within the last 90 days. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Thanks to Jeff Hallis, finds time to sit down with Scott and go over the fine points of hard drives, RAIDs, recovery, all the complicated things that I barely comprehend.
Yes, and of course Scott. We're speaking of Scott Moulton, who is basically a hard drive god, the expert of experts who flies around the world speaking about all things physical when it comes to hard drives. So recovery, build, quality, all that. So definitely check out My Hard Drive Died on podnuts.com. And speaking of Jeff Hallish, who is also the host of Podnuts Daily and Podnuts. I want to congratulate him on hosting the show during episode number 400, which just recently recorded, and it's I know Door will say it's just a number, but it's still a milestone. It still shows how this network is maturing, and I'm very proud to be a part of it because I know that we're going to reach that number someday with this show and many others. So congratulations to Jeff, and thank you for all the listeners who have been listening and sort of following us during the years, and know that there's much more new content to come. Please also visit the acf.tk. That is the Accessible Computing Foundation, the website for the Accessible Computing Foundation, run by our good friend, which we spoke about earlier, Jonathan Nadeau. They help bring technology to those who would otherwise be left behind, those with disabilities. For as little as $2 a month, you can become a contributor to that cause and put technology into the hands of those people, which we'd appreciate. Please also head over to sonargnulinux.com. That is Jonathan's custom accessibility focused Linux distribution based off of Manjaro, which of course is itself based on Arch, which is also very, very good. It has all sorts of fantastic accessibility options, including helping those with sight impaired, dyslexia, mobility issues. It's fantastic. You could donate to that project or just follow along with the releases at sonargnulinux.com. Please send us voicemails. We have only one in the queue right now, which we will address soon. If you want to send us a voicemail, please call 7076-PODNA. That is 707-676-3688. Or just send an email directly to us at podcast@linuxtherestofus.com. And thank you very much for supporting us all throughout these years, and trust me, a lot of good and more content to come. Thank you for listening this evening. Hope you got some really, really good information about Ohio Linux Fest. And please remember that Linux is not just for the rest of us. It is for all of us. Good night. All right.
And just go ahead and stop recording.
Yeah.
I think I need to reinstall my OS.
And what was that, 3 crashes?
It's not really crashes, it's just in Chrome it disconnects and then it will not reconnect until I literally shut down Chrome and start it back up. In Firefox, after 40 minutes or so, it just freezes, and then I have to close the tab, reopen the tab, and then it works. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. What are you running currently?
This one is the longest Linux install I've ever had. This is Hybrid 1204. Had it well over a year. Well over a year.
Yeah, now that OpenSUSE 13.2 is out, I'm going to throw that on a drive. And yeah, I have 14.04 on this box now, but yeah, I need to now that, well, I say that now I have more free time, but you know, as well as I do with my new job duties, I don't know if that's going to happen. Or I know it's going to happen. I just don't know if it's going to continue to me to have a lot of extra time. But damn it, I'm going to make time because it's worth it. Because these are my interests.
You could always skip out on sleeping like me.
You know, I've tried that, and I turn into quite the angry Angus.
Oh, well, that goes away after a while. Give it a week.
Not with me, Martin. You haven't hung out with me long enough. Oh my lord. And here's the thing. When it comes to biting or cutting comments, I treat it like Aikido, where I say the most damaging thing right up front to just kill the situation. Basically like a death blow comment to the point that would bring people to tears or just make them step aside so they get the hell out of my way. And when I'm in that mode, when I'm annoyed and tired and hungry, you don't want to be anywhere near me.
Okay, I'm going to stop the live feed.
All right, thanks everybody for watching.
All right, guys.